Hello people of YouTube, my name is Brad. This is my channel Animate Orange, and this week in 3D metal model news. Starting as usual with Metal Earth or Fascinations, a new model has shown up on their coming soon page just a couple of days ago, a new Harry Potter model. It is the Iconics Hogwarts Express in color, which is pretty exciting. Not only is it another Harry Potter model, it's the train, the Hogwarts Express, in color, and it's also iconic. So that would most likely mean it's going to be a little bit larger model, and it's going to have more detail on top of the fact that it's in color. And it looks like it's going to have the black with red and gold pieces. Looks like it's going to be very exciting. Interestingly enough, when I went to try and load the What's New page this morning to see if anything had moved over, on Fascinations it would not load. So I don't know what's going on there, probably just an interesting little glitch or uninteresting little glitch. On MetalEarth.com you can see the What's New. Fascinations you cannot. I wonder maybe if something is getting ready to move over and it's kind of broken that part of the website, but then again it just may be a small glitch. I had mentioned in a previous 3D metal model news video that a couple of the Western Star truck models had moved from coming soon to now available for What's New. The 4900 log truck and the 5700 XE truck had moved from coming soon to What's New. What didn't move was the log truck and trailer. And I did notice that. I don't think I made a specific comment about it, but I did notice that it got left behind in the coming soon page and did not move over. What I did not notice, and thank you to CodeWiki for pointing this out, is that it kind of quietly changed. It looks like it's probably the same model, but it went from having a Metal Earth MMS model number of MMS 179 to having an Iconics ICX 138 number. So it looks like the log truck and trailer, for whatever reason, probably because of its size, moved from being a Metal Earth model to an Iconics model. I didn't catch that, and I actually, thanks again to CodeWiki for pointing that out and pointing out when he talked about it on Instagram, because I was able to then look at that time frame in my archives and find the original screenshot from when it was an MMS 179 model. What exactly that means, I'm not sure. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they've just basically moved it to an Iconics model because it is a larger model and there's just more to it with it having a trailer. I'm looking at the pictures, and this is going to only be worth so much, trying to see if maybe, usually with Iconics it's bigger and more detail is involved. So whereas you have the Metal Earth Millennium Falcon and the Iconics Millennium Falcon will have, the Iconics will have more detail and pieces that the Metal Earth won't, or the Iconics Eiffel Tower compared to the Metal Earth Eiffel Tower has more pieces in it and more detail in it. I wonder if the log truck will have more detail and more pieces and be bigger than the Metal Earth, but I'm kind of suspecting that probably the truck cab portion is going to be the same. And it's just the fact that it has an additional trailer as well. But only time will tell. So interesting little change there that CodeWiki caught, and I thought I would mention it. And also from Metal Earth on the not quite announced side, thank you to RHILDINGER of the Metal Earth subreddit for pointing this out and putting all the pictures together so it was easy for me to find. Both Disney and Universal have released some new models, sort of. It's a little bit complicated. I've talked about Universal Studios having had models in, I believe, Japan several months back. And what has apparently happened is the Universal Studios in Florida has now released three of those models, or three models. And it looks like one of them, the Jaws model, which is what I'm thinking is not actually Jaws, but shark hanging in a stand, is just moved over to the US. It's still the same silver version, but they've also got the Universal Studios Globe, which was previously available in through Japan, through the Japan Universal Studios All Silver, is now in color and available in Florida in the US Universal Studios, as well as an in-color entrance arc to Universal Studios. I'm not sure if that's the same arc, or if there was the same arc as it was in Japan, or if it's a different arc. I unfortunately couldn't find in my archives the photos that I had. I'd left them on my phone for the longest time, and I just got a new phone, so I no longer have the pictures on my phone and in that archive. So I wasn't able to find the original pictures, but I mentioned them a while back. Now they're available in Florida, so for the US people in the US, they're a little easier to get, but still The easiest way to get them is to go to Florida to either Universal Studios or Disney, talk about the Disney models here in a minute, or look on eBay, which eBay is going to have a markup. Now at the same time in that post there were 3 Disney models listed that were in color. We have the Disney Parks Nautilus, which I've seen a Nautilus model, a silver one. I don't think it was Metal Earth though. I think it was something through AliExpress. Disorderly Calm put a Nautilus together on one of his videos on Groove Builders, and I don't believe it was a Metal Earth model. It was probably something from AliExpress or Crazy Toys, but I don't remember who the brand was. But now Disney has an in-color version from Metal Earth in their stores, as well as Disney Parks Mark I monorail in color and the Disney Parks Disney Train in color. I believe the monorail and train were previously available in silver. Now they're in color. So these models are never announced. It is somewhat frustrating for those of us trying to keep up with what's going on, because the Disney ones just show up at the Disney parks and you pretty much have to go there or know somebody that goes there to find out about them. But thankfully, because of the Metal Earth subreddit, it's not so hard to find these things out eventually. Other than going to Florida to get these models in person, you can look on eBay. I did poke around a little bit myself, and what I was able to find for the Universal Studios models, I did find one seller selling one of each, and they're $49.95, which is quite the markup. Free shipping, but still quite the markup. But over time, a lot of these models will become a little more readily available, and prices will probably drop a little bit. So really, unfortunately, it's expensive to jump on and get them as fast as you can. It pays to wait a little bit. I did look on eBay for the 3 Disney models I just mentioned. The prices were a lot lower. The Nautilus and the monorail for about $29.36, and I found the Disney Train in color for $13.95. So the price is a little bit better. $13.95 is really not that bad for the Disney Train through eBay, but yeah, it's going to vary. Continuing to talk about Metal Earth, they recently put on their Twitter a new post. They're basically seeking more followers and possibly going to have some contest. In their post recently, they put, "The moment we hit 1,000 followers, get ready for a streak of giveaways. We will hold 5 consecutive giveaways in which 2 people per day are randomly selected to win a prize. The rules are simple. All you have to do is follow Metal Earth 3D." So if you're not already following Metal Earth on their Twitter, follow them, because once they hit 1,000 followers, pretty much the way I interpret that, anybody who's following them is going to be thrown into a virtual hat and drawn for 5 days consecutively. 2 winners, 2 followers are going to win some prizes. Right now they're at 767 followers, so they need a bit of a boost. So if you're not following on Twitter, give them a follow. Maybe sign up for a Twitter account. Maybe convince your friends to follow them, because who wouldn't want free models? The easiest way to find their Twitter account is probably to go to MetalEarth.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, and they have a series of icons for their different social media. Just click on the Twitter one, and it'll take you to their Twitter page. And moving on from that, quick check of Piececool's website does show 1 new model. They are starting to release models again after quite a long period of being quiet. They have a Princess Carriage. Not a lot of detail available on their site. Looks like there's about 216 parts of this model. There's 4 metal sheets. It's mostly gold and red, so it's pretty ornate and colorful. And I find it a little bit interesting that the Princess model from Piececool shows up not long after an announcement that there'll be an MU Princess model coming out. The release date is set for this month, so it should be showing up fairly soon on AliExpress stores and Crazy Toys website. And another interesting, funny little thing, I scrolled down on the page on Piececool on the particular model, and there's a very kind of Disney-themed photo in there. I thought that was kind of interesting, with a castle in the background. I wonder if they're trying to hint at something. I did take a glance at Crazy Toys website as well as AliExpress looking for new models, and I did find one thing. I found the Hulkbuster. It doesn't say it's listed on Crazy Toys website and crazytoys.co.uk, as well as their AliExpress store. It doesn't say what the brand name is of the model. I'm pretty sure I've seen other Hulkbuster models. I want to say that Metal Brick had a Hulkbuster, so maybe this is kind of a copy of Metal Brick. I'm not sure. Not to say that that's necessarily a bad thing, but it is showing up at the top of Crazy Toys What's New page, so for them it's a new model and an interesting find. If you're a Marvel fan and don't have the Hulkbuster, here's a chance to get one. Doesn't look like the price is too bad. It's showing up for about $18 on the AliExpress Crazy Toys store. It is, according to the website, 3 sheets, so I guess a pretty complicated or maybe sizable model. The difficulty is listed as challenging, and it has an interesting little notation on it. The model of head, shoulders can take down, connected by magnetic parts. So I'm not sure if they're trying to say that this model has magnets in it and the arms can be repositioned or removed, kind of like some of the newer MU models. I'm not certain what that means. In the package list, it just shows instructions and metal sheets. It doesn't say anything about magnets, but that doesn't mean there aren't magnets in there. So be interested to find out just exactly what that means, if anything at all. And to wrap things up this week, I usually do a question of the week. This week's question of the week isn't a specific question, but kind of I wanted to talk about a general question or request that I usually get. I do take requests for builds, for model builds, and I do my best to try and get to them, although I can get easily backlogged. And I've had several requests for model builds, and I've been listening, and I do try to take notes and create a list. I've recently completed a few requests that have waited much longer than I'd have liked to have kept them waiting. But if you've made a request, I am working on it. And just to give you an idea of what I'm working on right now, I've currently got the Flintstones car partially assembled. I was hoping to have that finished before today, but life happens and it's partially done. Next up on my list, I have the Yamato, the Iconics Yamato battleship. Looking forward to do that one. I'm imagining that one's going to take some time for me to put together, judging on how difficult but how much fun the Missouri was. The Yamato is probably going to be equal to that. I'm going to enjoy it, but it's going to take me some time. I've also had a long-standing request for the Freightliner dump truck, and that one just kind of got lost in the works, and I kind of misunderstood at one point and thought it was a request for the snowplow because I was probably too excited to build the snowplow back when there was snow falling. That's still on my list. I need to get that one. I've had a request for the European Night Armor, the cable car, the Melbourne tram, and the Big Apple tour bus. I do intend on getting all those and building them. I still need to pick them up. And I've also got a model that was sent in by a viewer, a Beretta gun, and that's sitting on the sidelines. I need to do that one as well. So if you've made a request, those are some of the requests that I have listed. If you've made a request and I didn't just mention it, make it again, and I'll try to add it to the list. I always do my best to keep a list on my phone. Whenever somebody makes a request, I add it to it in order. I try to get to them in the order in which they are requested. That order can get interrupted depending on different circumstances. Sometimes a more complicated model might get put off to a time frame where I have time to focus on it. Sometimes I'll get to a model a little sooner because I already have it or can more easily get it than another model. But I do try to do them in the order they're requested with some variation. And that's it for this week's 3D Metal Model News. As always, thank you for watching, and thank you to my Patreon supporters for your support. I'll leave it at that. Always keep on keeping on.